So, today we're going to talk about three things happening in finance that, on the surface, seem totally separate. We've got an IPO, a really interesting crypto development, and a bank buying another bank. But stick with me, because when you put them all together, you get a really clear picture of where money is headed. Let's get into it. This quote just nails it, right? It feels like that sometimes, just total chaos. But inside all that drama, there are some major clues about what's coming next. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break down each of these movies and see what they're really telling us. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll dive into the long-awaited IPO of Wealthfront. Then, we're going to look at a super slick move by YouTube to bring crypto into the creator world. And finally, we'll figure out why a fintech lender would spend a fortune to literally buy a bank. Let's jump in. Okay, let's kick things off with our first story, the Wealthfront IPO. Now, people have been talking about this for years, and they finally did it. And what's so fascinating is that their whole strategy is, well, the exact opposite of all the high-energy meme stock chaos we've been seeing everywhere else. And look, the numbers here are pretty huge. We're talking nearly $500 million raised in their Nasdaq debut, which puts the company's value right around $2 billion. This is a big deal because it's one of the first IPOs for a pure robo-advisor in a long time. It's really a test to see if the public is ready for a quieter, more automated way of thinking about their money. So, just in case you're not totally sure, what exactly is a robo-advisor? Think of it as a smart, automated platform that manages your investments for you. Wealthfront was one of the pioneers here, basically offering to put your financial life on autopilot with low fees and a hands-off approach. And this is where things get really interesting. You've got these two completely opposite bets on how you'll want to manage your money. On one side, you have the meme stock brokerages, which are all about hype, energy, and getting you to trade all the time. And then you have Wealthfront, betting on the total opposite. Calm, automated, set it and forget it management. And their secret weapon in all this, believe it or not, it's high-yield cash accounts. This line just says it all, doesn't it? In a financial world that's just so loud, Wealthfront wants to be your calm, disciplined guide. They're basically betting that as our lives get busier and more complicated, we're going to actively choose automation over all the daily drama. So the big takeaway here, it's simple. Wealthfront is betting its entire public future on this idea that boring is actually the new killer feature. They believe the next generation of investors doesn't want hype. They want simple, reliable, and automated. All right, on to our second movie for the day, the crypto twist. And it's coming from a place you might not expect. YouTube. They've rolled out a feature that's quietly changing the game for how millions of people could end up using digital currency. And you'll see a theme here. It's all about making things seamless. Okay, to really get why this is a big deal, you have to understand the old way of doing things. For years, creators have had to deal with this slow, clunky, traditional banking system. You earn your money and then you just wait for days. It's stressful, it's inefficient, and it's just plain outdated. And boom, here comes the solution from YouTube. Creators in the US can now get their money almost instantly using a stablecoin. Now, a stablecoin is basically a type of crypto that's pegged to something stable, like, in this case, the US dollar. It uses crypto tech to just bypass that whole slow banking mess. I know. When you hear the word crypto, your mind probably jumps to all that wild price volatility, the chaos, right? So is this just YouTube pulling its creators into that crazy world? Well, no. That's not what this is about at all. This isn't about trading or speculation. This is about pure utility. YouTube is just using the technology behind crypto, the blockchain, as a new set of pipes. Faster, more efficient pipes. For the creator getting paid, it's so smooth, they might not even know crypto was involved. And I love this analogy because it's just so painfully true, right? Waiting for a payment to clear can feel like you're just stuck in limbo forever. Stablecoins let you completely skip the line. For millions of creators, this is a massive improvement to their daily lives. So, what's the big picture here? This is crypto quietly going mainstream. By plugging stablecoins into the system, YouTube is making crypto's infrastructure just another invisible, totally normal part of the internet for a huge global community. Okay, time for our final act, the power-up. An online lender called Enova just made a huge move, spending over $360 million to buy a federally chartered bank named Grasshopper. The big question is, why? This table really lays it out.
Before this deal, Enova was an online lender. That meant if they wanted to loan money out, they first had to borrow it from expensive sources. But now that they own a bank, they can use low-cost customer deposits, the money all of us keep in our checking and savings accounts, to fund their loans. It's a total game changer for their costs and lets them offer way more than just loans.
Honestly, you can't put it better than this. It's like a video game power-up. Getting a bank charter is the ultimate cheat code in fintech. It gives you cheap funding, a stamp of regulatory approval, and the power to build a whole financial universe. You go from being just another player in the game to owning a piece of the board itself. So the key thing to remember about this move is that it's way more than just a simple purchase. This was Enova completely rewriting its own DNA. They're setting themselves up to play in a whole new league, where having that banking license is the ultimate competitive moat. All right, so we've seen the IPO drama, we've had the crypto twist, and we've witnessed the big power-up. Now let's zoom out and connect the dots to see what it all really means. So let's just recap the big ideas real quick. With Wealthfront's IPO, the big idea is that boring is better. Automation is what people really want. With YouTube, it's about utility over hype. Crypto is becoming the invisible plumbing of the internet. And with Enova, the lesson is that owning the license, that bank charter, is the real superpower. So what does this all mean when you put it together? What's the common thread here? It's that fintech is finally growing up. It's moving past all the early hype and is becoming a real, foundational, and deeply embedded part of how we live. It's getting faster thanks to things like stablecoins, it's getting more automated with platforms like Wealthfront, and it's becoming more powerful as companies like Enova literally become the bank. And all of this leaves us with one huge final question. As all these trends speed up, the very idea of what a bank even is changing right before our eyes. So who's going to build the next generation of banks? Will they be tech companies, media platforms, or something we haven't even thought of yet? That is the real billion-dollar question. Thanks for tuning in.